The song says, I searched high. The song says, I searched low, but I found nobody greater than you. Nobody greater. Nobody greater. Than you. Someone look to your neighbor and say, there's nobody greater than God. Nobody greater. Nobody greater. Nobody greater. Nobody greater. Nobody greater than you. Nobody greater. There's a song. It's one of my favorite secular groups, bands. It's a band called Kings of Leon, and they got a song that is called "You Somebody." And the "You Somebody" song, they go. Who knows how that goes? They sing, "I've been roaming around, always looking down at all I see. Painted faces fill the places I can't reach. I know that I can use somebody, someone like you." And as they sing this song, when I heard it, this song came to my mind. Here these secular people are out in the world looking for somebody. I know that I can use somebody. And who are they looking for? They're looking for someone like God. And as they go on that search, they'll learn that they'll find nobody greater, nobody greater, nobody greater than you. Nobody greater, nobody greater, nobody greater than you. You could get to a part in your worship in life, and maybe you don't have all the words. Maybe you don't know how to tell God you're amazing. But sometimes all you can say is, there's nobody greater than you. There's nobody greater than you. One more time, one more time, one more time. Nobody greater than you. Nobody great, nobody great, nobody great, nobody greater than you. Our opening passage this morning is going to come from Genesis 8. It said, but God remembered Noah and all the wild animals and the livestock. Y'all keep the lights down. The livestock were wild with him in the ark. And he sent a wind over the earth, and the waters receded. Kids, y'all go ahead and stand up.
I don't know when God will do
God
it.
searched all over the word, and he couldn't find nobody greater than Noah. And he used Noah to start things over. So repeat after me, because when God started things over, each and every one of us right now in this life experience is a part of that starting over. And so repeat after me, kids. I am important enough to be a part of the restart. Amen. Y'all can exit toward your classrooms. Praise team, man. Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. Ooh. I always get in trouble for calling them a choir. But I was born in '83, so we didn't grow up with no praise teams. We grew up with Georgia Mass Choir, Mississippi Mass Choir. We ain't no what praise team y'all remember? What group y'all name remember called praise team? I don't even know if a bishop come, y'all give it up for the praise team. Sound a little weird. But we're in a new generation now. We use praise team now. All right, we can bring the lights back up. Thank y'all so much. want to start off with what I want to discuss with us all today. Papa J started me off this morning. He said, tell them what you want, tell them what they're going to learn, what they need to learn. I forget how he said it, and then tell them all over again. What was it again? Tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you told them. So I'm going to tell y'all first what I'm going to tell y'all, all right? The theme today is, or the message title is Starting Over Intentionally. Starting over intentionally. And this is not to say I just want to start over. The key piece here is intentionality. Starting over intentionally. Now, as I walk us through this, I want you to know what this theme is, because I'm going to tell you what I'm about to tell you. When you decide to start over, do it intentionally with the right people and plan, and let God be God. This message that I hope to deliver today breaks our journey into three facets. It breaks it into God's plan. Then I look at the ship ride that Noah was on and the ship ride that many of us are on. And then I look at the final destination. And when I look at God's plan, this is a teaching and a learning and a knowledgeable moment. So when we discuss God's plan, I hope that you grow from that. Then when I take you on to the ship ride, I hope that you are encouraged by the ship ride, because when you go on the ship ride of your own, you will perhaps need a little bit of encouragement. And when you get to the final destination, you will have to know what you need to do when you land there. So I hope to take you on this journey, God's plan, the ship ride, and the final destination. Are y'all ready to travel with me this morning? As we travel through this sermon, I will also challenge you all with some questions. Not ones I'm going to ask you to answer aloud, but ones I want you to answer internally, because it's not about always saying things in front of people, but sometimes it's the things that you say within yourself when you're by yourself, because those are the things that will challenge yourself. Well, our passage today begins in chapter 8. What precedes, man, I never smacked before. That was weird. That was really unnatural. Stop it. Who is that? What precedes this passage is a major global decision. A major global decision. God has decided this whole mankind thing has got to start all over. He says, in so many words, that's it. I'm through with y'all. I'm done. Y'all don't got to go home, but y'all got to get on up out of here. That's my sanctified imagination. That's Genesis / Pastor Chris. But how did we get to this dilemma? How did we get to God being flustered and God being annoyed and God being ready to restart things and start things over and say, enough is enough. I'm done with mankind. How did we get there? You see, in Genesis 6:5, it says this. God says, I regret making man. Woo, for their thoughts are always evil. God. This is God. This is why he chooses to hit the reset button. But what led him to draw that conclusion? Y'all walking this back with me, right? What led him to draw that conclusion? Well, I'm glad you asked. Let's circle back. So God creates this magical place, suspended in the middle of all the universe. And on this place called earth, he creates skies and he creates mountains and he creates oceans and spoils. Then he creates man, and he doesn't just create man like, boom, here is man. He says, let us make man in our image. So not let me just make man, let me discuss this with some folk. And then as I discuss it with them, I want to make him look just like us. Let's make him in our image. Then not only that, he gives them dominion and he gives them power over all of the earth. And then he gives them instructions. He says, be fruitful and multiply. Simple enough. Simple enough. But those two people, they go on to disobey him. God seems very human here, because I always think to myself, there could be no such thing as world peace. And what draw me to this, sort of like God, humans are always evil. But I think about a marriage. Think about two people that get married, at least by U.S. standards. This is not always the case, but by our U.S. standards, right? We got two people that love each other. Boy meets girl. Wow, she fine. Finna go get her number. Say, what's your number? I ain't giving you my number. You playing hard to get. Or well, maybe now they say, what's your IG? Or you slid into my DMs, whatever, right? And then these two say, all right, let's go on a date. And they go on a date, and they have this beautiful date. They go to a fancy restaurant. They wine and dine each other. And she goes home, and she says, girl, he fine, and he treated me good. And we went to Maserati, and girl, it was turned. I had a lobster. It was nice. I took pictures. You seen my gram, right? Yeah, right? And then this man decides to go on and say, hey, I want to marry you. And she says, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. These two people love each other. They are after each other's hearts. And then they get married. And they tear each other apart. This is why I don't believe in mankind. This is why God is frustrated. He put two people in the garden. And he gave them instructions. And she turned up in the garden like, oh, I got this apple, y'all. They disobey him. So God's early experience with humankind is one that is met with disdain. Because these two people have children. They have Cain and Abel and Seth. And then Cain and Abel go on to murder each other. Or one murders the other. So God's early experience with us is marked by betrayal, disobedience, murders, lies, and loss. This was enough for him to say, okay, enough is enough. I need to start this thing all over. My first question to you is, what have you had enough of? Now, does that constitute starting things over? Now, be thoughtful in your answer, because remember, this was a major global decision. Next, God does a sort of a Google search. And he looks for someone who's righteous. Because starting things over does not always mean you need to get rid of everything. And it does not mean that you need to get rid of everyone. However, it does declare you must set a new standard and a new plan. And this is what he does for his people. In his Google search, he finds nobody greater than Noah. Second question, who is up to your new standard? Who is up to your new standard? Because, see, everybody can't come along on that ship ride. Who is up to your new standard? Who can carry out the purpose and the plan that God has put in your life? We often want to take people with us who make us feel at home, who make us feel comfortable, but we give little thought to the idea of whether this person is capable of executing the plan. Are they capable? There was nothing comfortable about being on a boat ride with animals and your family. Somebody laugh. But that was necessary for the plan. Real quick, I want you to think of 5 people you would have to bring with you if you were to start things over. If you were to start things over right now, what are 5 things that 5 people that you would bring with you to start things over? Just jot it down, write it in your phone. Top 5 dead or alive. 5 people. And as you contemplate those 5 people, I want you to think, why do I want to bring those 5 people? Why are these the 5 people that I'm going to start things over with? God gave Noah a plan. Build a boat. Bring some folk. Bring this, bring that, because I'm about to reset things. God's plan. God's plan. Here's that first step. Now, in God's plan and in your planning is key. The who, what, why, when, where, what, why, when, who, what, why, when, where. Why do you want to restart? Who do you need to restart? Where do you need to restart? What do you need to restart? God's plan. When you execute God's plan, you operate in obedience. Everyone say, I operate in obedience when I follow God's plan. Proverbs 29:18, it says this, where there is no vision, the people perish, but he that keeps the law, happy is he. This passage resonates with me because it is straight to the point. Because the people that were not a part of God's plan perished in Noah's story. True or false? As far as we know, in Noah's plan and Noah's story, the people that were not a part of God's plan, did they survive? No. Where there is no vision, the people will perish. But there's a key part to that. You have to keep the law. You got to keep the law. You can't just freestyle it. Can't just go out and go rogue, right? Can't be a mercenary. You got to follow God's plan and be obedient to it. When people don't see the vision, they perish. In your life, people don't always see your vision. And you can't expect them to always see your vision. Everybody does not have your vision for your life. When you restart and when you start things over, you have to be intentional about it. You can't be like Jonah and just wind up in Nineveh. Being faithful is a part of the plan, but saying I'm just going to go out and do it and I'm just walk on faith, that's a little risky. You're going to need faith when you're risking it. But it's just a little risky. You see, a plan is thoughtful intentionality toward a purpose or a goal. What do you want for yourself? What do you want for your family? What do you want for your career? What do you want for your constituents? What do you want for your business? Are you intentional about it? A plan is a thoughtful intentionality toward a purpose or a goal. You must be intentional about your plan. Now that you have decided, perhaps, I want to start over. And now that you've determined why you want to start over. And now that you've determined who you want to start over with, what's the plan? And now, are you careful to be obedient to it? Now, here's a raft, because we on the boat, y'all, because we on the boat. Okay. You can't, it was a big laughter. I put insert big laughter. Never mind. There it goes. I was just playing. Here's a raft for you, bro, ride. You can't plan for everything. So waiting to have every detail figured out before you execute a plan may lead to procrastination. Noah had a plan, but he didn't have all the details. But lack thereof did not hold him up. It didn't stop him from pressing forward. We operate right now in this immediate gratification world where we want it right away. And when we don't get it right away, we default to this sort of delayed patience. Now, I made up that word, but y'all walk through this with me. Delayed patience. This is where we kind of psych ourselves out into believing that we're actually being patient. But really, we're just trying to out-God God. Y'all walk with me a little bit? It's like watching a good Netflix series. There's two types of people that watch a good Netflix series, okay? Maybe more, but purpose of this illustration, there's two types of people. The first type of person is someone that has the patience to watch each episode as it comes out. And they are not hurried for the next season to come out, even though they still have the anticipation. They want it to come out, but they can wait. You know, my grandmother would watch Young and the Restless, and it was 2 weeks where they didn't have no new episodes. She was watching reruns. And she's like, Lord, how many times? She had no schedule. She was pull out the TV guide. Lord, when they going to have a new episode? She had to wait almost a month to see what Victor Newman was going to be doing. I don't even know if I got my stories right, but whatever. So you got some people that have the patience to wait. And then you got the other ones that want to watch the whole story all together, all at once. And so we go on a binge and we watch episode after episode late into the night until we get tired, and then we wake up and we're eager to watch another episode because we fell asleep on the last episode. And Netflix was kind enough to stop and ask us, are you still watching? And then we go into work and into life on energy drinks and caffeine highs, sleep deprived. I'm not judging nobody. I'm just talking about myself. But many of us will wait until the whole episode comes out before we watch the new season. And so we exercise this sort of delayed patience. God, or I'll wait for it, but once I wait, I want it all. God, I've been faithful over a few things. Make me ruler of it all. In our lives, we exhibit this fancy behavior in procrastination. So we're patient enough to let life pass us on by with the expectation that we'll get caught up on things later. Procrastination is not obedience, it's convenience. And until we get to the point where we can't stand to just watch life pass us by, and we say to ourselves, I need to hit the reset button. I need a plan because I need to get on that ship. We will find it difficult to be obedient to God's plan, and instead of going through seasons in life, we will find ourselves going through cycles, voyaging through the same seas, never making it to our destination. But it's okay. I just gave you a raft. You can float in the ocean forever and survive as long as you can on that raft. The ship ride. The ship ride. This is the crux of Genesis chapter 8, executing the plan. When you are in the heart of a plan, it's hard. It's a grind. It's thick. The struggles, the darkness, the uncertainty, the patience you have to have, the trust you have to have. Your trust is tested. Your trust is retested. Your trust is contested. Noah boarded this ship without any maps, no electricity, no AC, full of animals. Executing God's plan ain't pretty. No maps, no navigation. He did not have all the details, but he was going to be obedient. And obedient does not always produce immediate gratification. In fact, in this case, it was just the opposite. You see, these waters are deep and they are treacherous, and you must pack your patience if you're going to go on this ship ride with me. What did this ride look like? What did this ride look like? Y'all want to spend some time on the boat with Noah for me? Y'all walk this. Genesis chapter 8, verse 3 through 10. And the waters returned from off off the earth continually. And later, the end of the 150 days, the waters were abated. And the ark rested 7 months on the 7th day of the month upon mountains of Ararat. And when the waters decreased continually until the 10th month. And in the 10th month of the first day of that month were the top of the mountains seen. And it came to pass at the end of 40 days, Noah opened up the window in the ark which he had made. And he sent forth a raven, and it went to and fro, and until the waters were dried up from the earth. Also he sent a dove from him to see what the waters, if the waters were abated from off the ground. But the dove found no rest in the sole of their feet, and he returned into the ark, for the waters were on the face of the whole earth. And then he put out his hand and took her and pulled her back into the ark. And he stayed yet another 7 days. And again he sent forth a dove out of the ark. Noah spent some time on the ark. He spent some time out there on the waters. Oh, my band ain't here. Noah spent some time on the ark. Noah spent some time on the ark, and I imagine he had to have those words on the lips on his lips on the ark. You see, the shipwrights are as much about survival as they are about the ride. When you're on the ship, the darkness, the ebbs, the flows, they are dizzying. It's dark. Your mind wanders. Where are you? Your patience is trampled over. Your will is wrecked. Ship rides ain't easy. Even a cruise can be scary. You see, separating yourself ain't easy. There will be a reckoning on the ride between your will and God's will. And while God searched out all over for a righteous man to lead the way, I hope that you are in search of the right God to lead your way. Because I know a God who is the way, the truth, and the life. And if you submit to his will and you submit to his way, when you have chosen to start things over, you are geared for success. You see, you have to trust him because you can't God your God. You have to trust God. You can't be like, God, it's time. God, I need you. God, where you at? You can't God God. You got to let God. Noah had to trust him at this time at sea. Noah understood that he could not God his God. God told Noah, take these folk with you because he knew Noah would uphold the standard. He knew Noah would uphold the standard, The sea and the ship, it ain't for everyone. People get lonely at sea. People get restless at sea. People get seasick on the ship. So separating isn't easy. You know, Jesus was on a ship once. And the panic on that ship ride hit everyone but Jesus. I'm not making up a story. It says it here in Matthew 8:23. It says, then he got into a boat and his disciples followed him. Suddenly a furious storm came up on the lake. And so the waves swept over the boat, but Jesus was sleeping. The disciples went and woke him saying, Lord, save us, we about to drown. Lord, save us, we about to drown. Anybody been on a cruise? Have you ever looked out on the ocean? Okay, I'm going to go morbid on you real quick, okay? Just follow with me. I ain't got no dead bodies, so I can say this. You look at that ocean and you like, man, they could drop a whole lot of bodies out there and not find them. That's how vast that ocean is. That's how scary that ocean is. And if you're on a cruise, it ain't moving. It's pretty as still as it's going to be. So I can only imagine if you're on a ship like these disciples were with Jesus, and it starts to shake and it starts to move, and you ain't been on a ship before, and they don't got none of that Dramamine where you get motion sickness. They ain't got none of that. It ain't there. You got motion sickness, you finna deal with it. And so here they are, they moving, they swagging, they surfing, but they don't like to swag and surf right now. And they like, yo, where Jesus at? And they like, yo, that boy's sleeping. And they like, somebody wake him up, because don't he do miracles? And they like, yeah, that's what I heard. Go get him. Jesus, wake up. We about to drown. We about to die. Oh, my God. We about to die. Bruh, they was on the ship for a night as far as I know. Noah was on this thing for a year. They broke down in one night. They broke down in one night. Jesus, in Matthew 8:26, he says this to them. He says, you of little faith, why are you so afraid? Then he got up and rebuked the winds and the waters. You see, you could take with you who you want on your ship ride. But I hope you have someone who can calm your anxiety when the waters get choppy, because they will get choppy. You see, the word leaves us to our own imagination in Noah's story. So judging from the folk that was on Jesus' ship, they freaked out overnight. So what was it like for Noah and his family and all of these animals night after night? Executing the plan ain't easy. It's not comfortable, but it's necessary. Who are you taking with you when you start things over? Think about it. Because when that ship starts moving, you want somebody that's like, we finna die. Or you want someone to say, oh, ye of little faith, calm down. My auntie would say, boy, sit down. You need somebody, when you start going, boy, sit down. When they say that, it gives you a little reserve. Why you not worried? Okay, if you're not worried, then I ain't worried that much. But we will need, who will you take with you on your boat ride? Because it's not just the will to survive that you'll need, but you'll need people to get to work once you arrive to your destination. Final destination. Maintaining the vision. Genesis 8:15-17. It says, then God said to Noah, come out of the ark, you and your wife and your sons and their wives. Bring out every kind of living creature that is with you, the birds, the animals, and all the creatures on the ground, so they can multiply on the earth and be fruitful and increase in number on it. Y'all, I heard that before. He said, all the creatures that move along the ground so that they can multiply on the earth and be fruitful and increase. God reset the world. God reset the world. But interestingly, he never changed his goal. He just changed the vessel. He reset the earth and he started over, but he gave Noah the very same instructions that he gave Adam and Eve. He told them to be fruitful and multiply. When you're starting things over, it does not mean that you need to change your whole goal. It doesn't mean that everything that you were going out after initially needs to change. It may mean that the vessels that you are using to execute that goal need to change. You see, starting over doesn't mean abandoning the initial goals. Sometimes it's finding the right people. Finding the right people in business if you have to start over. Finding the right people in relationships if you have to start over. Finding the right people to surround you in your life if you have to start over. See, separation is hard. Choosing to say, I'm going to take this and I'm going to go out on my own and I'm going to do this and I'm going to body this by myself. Hey, that's hard. You remember COVID? Remember how we had to separate from sick people so we couldn't get sick? And I lost my grandmother to breast cancer. And I learned that when people are undergoing cancer, they could be a little cantankerous. But they're not cantankerous just because. You know, at one point I was like, man, they don't like kids. But I understood something in that journey for her with cancer. And it's that when you're going through chemo, and if I got some nurses in here, y'all correct me, all right? But when you're going through chemo, your white blood cells or blood count is down. And those cells are considered your fighter cells. And so when you don't have enough of those fighter cells, you don't want people around you that are sick because you don't have enough to fight back. Separating ain't easy, but it might be necessary. See, if you are sick and tired of being sick and tired, you have to make changes. They may require you to stay away from tired and sick people. Shake some things up in you. You see, you can risk injury when you're healthy. But if things are weak, if things are painful, if things are ill, we will have to make a decision to stay where we're at in life or to get up and start things over intentionally. Not by coincidence, but intentionally. And we must elevate our standard. And maybe it's time for some of us to stop searching out man's way and man's advice and search out God's will. Search out God's way. Search out God's heart. Maybe it's time for some of us to start over with God. 2 Corinthians 5:17 says this. It says, therefore, if any man be in Christ, he is a new creature. Old things are passed away. Behold, all things become new. So as I close out this message, if, in fact, you choose to start over, my encouragement is that you do it with the greatest of intentions. I encourage you to love intentionally. I encourage you to live intentionally because God leads you intentionally. And if you have to start all over, do it intentionally.